Okay, so I know it's been a while. Basketball season has been crazy, and because of that, your girl has been extra busy. But now I am back and ready to talk all things Brooklyn. No, not the borough. You know that's my home. Much love forever and ever, always. I'm talking about the Brooklyn Nets. You know, the team most people have making the NBA Finals, and some people even have winning the whole thing. And that was even before James Harden joined the squad. But now we have finally seen what this super team of Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden actually looks like, actually functions like. And, well, I'm concerned. Obviously not too concerned because, as you can see, I'm a Knicks fan, so no pressure over here. But as a basketball enthusiast, I don't think that this team, this system, is as foolproof as the fans would like to believe. I'm going to quickly break down what went wrong on Wednesday and what this team needs to fix in order to make it for the long haul. So let's get into it. So I'm going to keep this short, sweet, and simple. The Brooklyn Nets have two major problems. Number one, defense. Now, I know that people will say that defense is an old school mentality. I still believe that defense wins championships. And I know the argument will be, well, the league has changed, the game has changed. I'm not buying it. Defense is the only thing that travels with you. It doesn't matter who you play, where you play, what court you are on, you can always play defense. Your offense will not always click, even if you are a big three of Harden, Irving, and Durant. Your shots will not always fall, but you can always play defense. The Brooklyn Nets are defensive Swiss cheese. There's hardly any defense, if any. There's no substance there. There's no foundation. They rely heavily on being able to put up big numbers because they have some of the best scorers in the league currently, and possibly, when it's all said and done, of all time. Now, if you're playing a team that's weak on both sides of the ball, then essentially it should be an easy win. But if you're playing a team that has a strong suit in either offense or defense, that's where things get tricky. Offense is essentially a shootout. You look at the game against the Bucks. It basically is a game of whoever can score the most points before the time on the clock runs out. But if you look at the game against the Cavs, that's a defensive game. Although the Cavs are ranked last in the NBA in offense, they're a top 5 defense. And what that does, it locks up your offense. Shots eventually will go cold, but defense always remains, especially if that's your strong suit. And at the end of the day, defense, I believe, for the most part, will always win. Case in point, Wednesday night. The second problem for the Brooklyn Nets is their depth or lack thereof, and also players not wanting to play their position, play their role. Here's the thing, the minute the Brooklyn Nets traded for James Harden, they gave away all their depth. And now they're forced to run a 6-man rotation, which heavily puts a lot of pressure on your big three and puts a lot of minutes on their stat line. James Harden played 50 minutes on Wednesday. Kevin Durant played 50 minutes on Wednesday. On top of that, Kevin Durant is fresh off an Achilles injury, fresh off Achilles rehab. You're not supposed to just dive into minutes like that. You're supposed to lean into them, which is probably why he's not even playing in tonight's game. He's probably exhausted. This is just load management at its finest. But moving into the other issue of players not wanting to play their position, playing their role, there's too many chefs in the kitchen, if you will. On Wednesday night, James Harden played 50 minutes of basketball for 20 points. 50 minutes of basketball for 20 points. Before we get into how long that's even gonna last, James Harden had to play ridiculous minutes in Houston for them even to be a contender. And by the time the playoffs came around, he was exhausted. It was a lot of the reason why the Rockets weren't able to accomplish anything. A big part of the reason why he wanted to join Brooklyn was because he didn't have to put up those kind of minutes. On top of that, how long do you think he's going to be satisfied with playing 50 minutes just for 20 points? And yes, essentially he was running the point on Wednesday. But James Harden's a scorer. He scores. He likes to take shots. He's not going to be content day in and day out playing long minutes and not having the points to show for it. On top of that, look at Kyrie Irving, who is a point guard, whose job is to run the offense, whose job is to dish out assists. On Wednesday, he had 37 points. Not a big deal if he had 10 assists, 12 assists. He had 3. Meanwhile, Kevin Durant, who is the leader of this team and not a point guard, had just one more point than him at 38 and more than doubled his assists at 8. There's a problem there. Nobody is playing their position correctly. Nobody is doing what they're supposed to be doing. And by nobody, I mean there's a power struggle between James Harden and Kyrie Irving that's going to implode. This can't last forever. There's too many chefs in the kitchen. Look, there's no denying that Brooklyn is a talented team. You have 3 of the best players in the league on one squad. That's fun to watch. And if you like your basketball, all offense, no defense, this is the team for you. Except when the playoffs come around and you're talking championships, defense still matters, and defense still wins championships. So this team's going to have a rude awakening when they have to go out west and play somebody like the Clippers or the Lakers. But on top of that, there is simply not enough basketball for the style of play that these guys like to do. There's not enough basketball for 3 scorers who enjoy scoring. And Kevin Durant is the leader of this team. He has already shown that he can kind of take a back seat and be unselfish. But somebody has to join him. And I don't think, despite what Harden may say, he's going to be okay with the discrepancy in the minutes played and the points on the board that come from him. And Kyrie Irving is not going to give up that ball anytime soon. So something has to give. And it has to give fast. Because this is not a formula for a championship winning team. By any means. Thank you so much for checking out this episode of All In with Ashley Nicole. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of the new episodes. And while you're at it, check me out on social media and hit that follow because I post some pretty cool things on there that you won't see on YouTube.